Now that we have learned how to select an image from an Android or an iOS phone, the next step is to come back to our Azure portal and create a new service. The service that we're going to be using is a storage service, and the reason we are not using SQLite to store our image is, well, that is not a good practice. You could, however, for example, transform your image into a string, a base64 string, and convert it back and forth directly from one column inside of any of your tables inside of a SQL database. However, that would use a ton of storage, and SQL is simply not optimized for that. What's more, because SQL is going to be more expensive per megabyte than storage accounts, it will just cost a lot more to maintain. What we are going to do is create a storage account that is precisely aimed to store files, including images. So I am going to click on the new button, I am going to click on storage, and I am going to click storage account, blob, file, table, or queue. And this is the type of service that we are going to be creating to store our images. And eventually we will get a URL, and that URL, that is the one that we can store easily and very cheaply on a SQL database. After all, it will be just about a 20-character string. Here, of course, the first thing is to set a name. In my case, I will set this to image storage, which is not available, so I will include Xamarin in the name, and this one is available. The deployment model, I recommend you use Resource Manager. For the account kit, you could select storage or the version 2 of the storage. This is fairly new. However, the one that we're going to be using is blob storage. After selecting replication, which you can leave as read access is redundant, you will have to select either cool or hot. If you are going to be constantly accessing this, which can be our case, we are going to be setting this to hot, which will make the access to the files much faster. I am going to leave the secure transfer required as disabled. I will select my subscription. In this case, I am going to use an existing research group. You can use the same research group you used to create your mobile service. Select the location, which in this case can be different to your other Azure services. After all, they are not going to be accessing each other. So simply selecting the location that will be closest to your users will be fine. And optionally, you can pin to the dashboard and hit on create. Once this service has been created, we will see in the notifications that the deployment has succeeded, and we can click on go to research to go to this new service. And that's it. That's pretty much everything we need. Now our service is ready to start receiving and storing images, or really any kind of file. But notice something that we're going to be using. If you navigate from the left to access keys, you will find some strings. There are the ones that we will have to use, especially the ones named connection string, to connect to the service and be able to upload our files. So now we have this Azure service ready. In the next lecture, we're going to be preparing our Xamarin project to start sending images to this new service.